Welcome to the Bedtime Sleep. Here, science doesn't rush, it drifts, it breathes, it whispers. Tonight, we begin not with facts, but with feeling, with wonder, with a question too soft for daytime noise. Does distance bend emotion too? Let's begin in stillness. Close your eyes, or leave them heavy. Let your breath slow into the quiet rhythm of space. Above you, the sky is not empty. It is full not just of stars, but of time. Every pinpoint of light you see is a story told slowly. Some of those stories began before Earth even had oceans. That light, fragile and faithful, has been traveling for millions, even billions, of years, just to reach you now. You lie beneath it, wrapped in gravity and breath and wonder. How far can something travel and still mean something when it arrives? A star, long dead, still glows in your eyes tonight. Its light began its journey when creatures older than memory walked this earth. The star itself may have burned out long ago, collapsed into ash and absence. And yet its light moves on, untouched by grief, unchanged in direction. This is the rhythm of the universe, silent persistence. A photon, a particle of light, is born in the heart of a star. It bounces for thousands of years inside the star's dense, brilliant core before escaping, free to roam the cosmos. Once free, it moves in a straight line, never swerving, never slowing. No matter how long the distance, no matter how empty the space, it simply continues. That light may pass comets, dust clouds, spinning galaxies, but it does not stop. It moves at light speed, not just fast, but timeless, because in its frame of reference, no time passes at all. From the photon's point of view, the journey is instantaneous. From our point of view, it takes millennia. You and this light live in different tempos. And yet, here you are, receiver of an ancient flicker, witness to a past that still burns. It reaches your eyes quietly, like a message that waited long after being written. Like love in a sealed envelope, it arrives after the cinder has vanished. And still, it warms. Still, it tells the truth of where it came from. Still, it matters. You begin to sense it. Light is more than brightness. It's memory. It's a bridge between what was and what still hopes to be seen. Just like your thoughts, just like your feelings. You carry memories, two soft flashes from people or places that feel far away now. But they linger. They travel, not on waves or beams, but in the way your chest tightens when a scent returns. Or a song reaches a note that loops you back in time. Maybe distance doesn't erase meaning. Maybe, like light, feeling stretches across the dark. High above, starlight continues to fall. It lands softly on oceans, on mountaintops, on city windows and sleeping faces. It doesn't ask for attention. It just gives. Even now, as you listen, photons are arriving, one by one. From stars that died before our species learned to speak. And you are the landing place. You are the page the universe writes on, gently, slowly, with every shimmer. It makes you wonder. If a star can send something meaningful across emptiness, can a person? When you think of someone far away, when your chest remembers someone your arms no longer hold, is that feeling a kind of light, too? Not visible, not measurable, but real. There is science in it, you know. Biologists tell us the body remembers love. Neuroscientists have found that imagining a person you care about activates the same brain regions as seeing them in front of you. Your mind lights up, quite literally, with the idea of connection. Your neurons fire in patterns shaped by care, even when they are far, even when you are alone. So maybe distance doesn't shrink emotion. Maybe it shapes it, stretches it, filters it, gives it clarity. Just like light through a lens. Back in space, we float past the long rivers of starlight. Some of these beams carry information. Astronomers use the color of starlight to tell how fast a star is moving, what elements it holds, how old it might be, all from a flicker that traveled for eons. In each wave, there is data. In each hue, a secret. The farther the star, the deeper the message. You begin to think of your feelings that way, not as fleeting impulses, but as carriers of encoded meaning. You don't always know what they hold when they first arise, but if you study them gently over time, they reveal where they came from, what they're made of, who you once were. You may not be a scientist with a telescope, but you are an observer of your own inner cosmos. Your feelings move like constellations, sometimes clear, sometimes hidden behind clouds. But they're always there, guiding, marking time, naming distance. And like starlight, some of them take a long time to be understood. Some travel years before they reach the surface. Some never arrive, and that, too, is part of the truth. Still, you keep sensing. Still, you keep reaching. Above, the stars do not stop shining. They do not check to see if anyone is looking. They simply continue. A thread across the stars. An offering. A promise. And here you are, lying still under their slow gift. Breathing in time with the universe. Feeling less alone. You begin to notice your own rhythm. The way your breath flows in and out, not so different from the tides of light. Your chest rises and falls. And somewhere, someone you once loved might be breathing too, at a different rhythm, under a different sky, but still part of the shared, slow orchestra. And perhaps, just perhaps, emotion, like light, does not fade as it travels. It just takes its time. And what if time itself bends? Not just because of light, but because of speed? What happens, you wonder, when someone you love moves faster than the world around them? Does time pass differently for them? And for you? We drift now into that question, into a rocket where clocks tick slow, and hearts beat across stretched seconds. In the next moment, we will float toward a clock that runs differently, not because it's broken, but because it's moving. Time, you once thought, was steady, like a metronome ticking in a silent room, even, patient, untouched by feeling. But tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep and space, you find that time is not so simple. It stretches, it sways, it listens to motion, it bends for speed. Imagine this. You're watching someone you love step into a spacecraft. They wave once, then disappear behind glass and metal. You stay on Earth. They begin to move, slowly at first, then faster and faster, until they near the speed of light. Their rocket becomes a blur, a silver whisper across the cosmos. And you remain, still, breathing, aging. On board the ship, they live and move and dream. But time is different for them now. It slows, not because the clocks are faulty, but because of something Einstein once saw in his mind. Time and space are part of the same fabric, and when you stretch one, the other listens. This is time dilation, a beautiful, strange effect of special relativity. When you move fast, really fast, time begins to behave differently, not in your own view. Your heart still beats normally, your tea still cools in minutes. But to someone watching you from a slower world, you begin to drift away in time. Back on Earth, you wait. You grow older. They, in the rocket, feel time gently touch them, minutes passing like minutes. But to you, they are wrapped in a slower rhythm. Maybe you write letters they won't read for years. Maybe you look up at the stars and wonder if they're looking back. Maybe your love now stretches across a difference, not just of space, but of time itself. And still, they are there. A heartbeat behind a moving clock. A flicker slower than your own. A thread pulled long and quiet. Your mind may ask, how can this be? How can time, the one thing we all seem to share, flow differently for different people? But here in the stillness, in the soft cradle of sleep, you see the truth. Time is not a river outside you. It is part of you. It flows with your motion, with your speed, with your gravity. Your body carries time like a secret tide. And when you move fast enough, you ride those waves differently than someone at rest. Imagine two twins. One stays on Earth. The other travels to a distant star at near light speed, then returns. To the twin who stayed, decades may have passed. Wrinkles deepen, voices change, memories stack in layers. But to the traveler, only a few years might have passed. They return, younger, slower, like a song played back at half speed. This isn't science fiction. This is what the math says. This is what the clocks say. This is what GPS satellites must correct for every single day. Because even the slight speed of orbit makes their time drift from ours. Up there, time bends slightly. Down here, it ticks just a bit faster. Without correction, your phone's location would be off by miles. Time, it turns out, is not just passing, it's dancing. And if you move fast enough, you don't just go far. You travel into a future someone else had to wait to reach. So now you lie still, and you wonder again, what does this mean for emotion? If someone moves away, not just physically, but through time, can the bond remain? Can love adjust to delay? Think of those long-distance calls with delays. Think of messages that arrive late, but still carry warmth. Think of lullabies sung through static, or memories you kept while someone changed. Distance doesn't always destroy connection. Sometimes it teaches it to stretch. Your heart learns new rhythms. It learns to wait, to honor the time another person lives within. Just as a satellite sends a signal and waits for Earth to receive it, you begin to see that emotion can also travel at different speeds. Some loves are quick, like sparks or fireflies. Others move slowly. A letter that takes years to be read. A light from a faraway star that still reaches you after the star itself is gone. And in this moment, as you lie beneath a ceiling of sky, you wonder if time's bending might explain the quiet ache you sometimes feel. That ache of missing someone, not just in space, but in tempo. You begin to feel it. The presence of someone who feels far, not just across miles, but across a different kind of clock. Maybe you're moving quickly now, caught in daily life, momentum, noise. Maybe they've slowed, taken a quieter path, or perhaps it's the other way around. But something inside you waits, listens, matches its pulse to a rhythm you can no longer hear directly. And still, you feel it. That, too, is time dilation. Not in physics, but in the soft, emotional clockwork of the soul. You think now of the rocket again, of your beloved traveling outward. The further they go, the more time stretches between you. But you don't stop reaching. You send messages. You whisper wishes into the night. And though they move slower through time, they are moving toward you still. In some version of the future, you reunite. One older, one younger, one weathered, one preserved, but both holding threads that never broke. That future may be symbolic. It may be imagined, but it comforts you, because time, like emotion, isn't always about speed. It's about remembering how to feel across delay, to hold steady when rhythms don't match, to believe that slowing down doesn't mean drifting away. And here, in this suspended moment, your own clock begins to quiet, not because it stops, but because it syncs with something slower, something more patient. You feel your breath, like the tick of a soft, starbound watch. You are the observer now, watching yourself move gently through a field of time. Somewhere, far ahead or far behind. Someone may be watching you too, measuring your rhythm, matching it with their own, wondering when you will meet again, at the same pace. And as you breathe in, you feel it again. Distance not as separation, but as choreography. Time does not sever. It sings. It teaches you how to listen to what moves slower than you, or faster than you, or differently than you. And when you listen long enough, you begin to hear it all at once, like harmony. But if speed can stretch time, what else can bend the path we walk? Is it only motion, or could something deeper, like gravity, curve our journey? 2. Let's drift now toward that pull, to the quiet weight that shapes the stars, and perhaps your very heart. What holds you down is not always what burdens you. Sometimes it's what connects you, what steadies you, what keeps you in orbit, around something meaningful. Tonight, you begin to feel gravity, not the heavy kind that aches in your joints after a long day, but the quiet pull that cradles you to earth, the invisible reach that keeps oceans curled against shorelines, moons tethered to planets, and your own body gently pinned to this very moment. You lie still, and yet you're moving, spinning, traveling through space as Earth orbits the Sun at 67,000 miles per hour. And the Sun, in turn, dances through the galaxy. You're never truly still, but you're never truly flung away either. Why? Because gravity holds you. It doesn't shout. It doesn't burn. It simply stays. A soft, unseen hand that says, "You are part of this. Stay near." We used to think gravity was a force, a kind of invisible rope pulling objects toward each other. But Einstein gave us a deeper image. He showed us that gravity is how space itself curves around anything with mass. Planets bend space. Stars bend space. Even you, in your small, soft body, curve space. Just by being here. Imagine space as a soft sheet stretched out wide. Place a marble on it, and the sheet dips gently. Place a heavy ball, and the dip becomes deeper. Now roll another marble nearby. It curves inward, drawn not by strings or magnets, but by the shape of space itself. That's gravity, not a tug, but a slope. You are not pulled. You are guided. And this gentle guidance is everywhere. The moon moves around Earth not because it's dragged, but because it's following a curve in space, a path shaped by Earth's presence, a silent dialogue of motion and mass. You begin to wonder, if planets and stars shape space, do memories shape something in you? Do strong feelings create curves in your inner world that others begin to orbit? Think of someone you've lost, but still feel near. Their absence has a shape, doesn't it? A hollowness that gently alters your day. The path of your thoughts curves toward them sometimes. Without warning, you find yourself remembering the way they laughed, or the way they made you feel seen. That's emotional gravity. It doesn't pull with force. It bends your attention. It changes your course. Even now, as you drift in this meditative quiet, you might feel that gentle curve, a name that returns, a moment that stirs without effort. You're not trying to recall. You're simply moving along a slope that was shaped long ago. Emotion doesn't need to shout. Like gravity, it lingers. There are places in the universe where gravity is no longer gentle, where it becomes deep, relentless, where not even light can escape. These are black holes. Collapsed stars with gravity so intense, they create an invisible pit in space and time. Once something crosses their boundary, their event horizon, it cannot return. It isn't destroyed exactly. It simply vanishes from our reach. And yet, scientists now believe that black holes may still remember. That information is not truly lost, only hidden, transformed, perhaps imprinted on the edge, like a secret waiting to be decoded. It makes you think, doesn't it? About the people who've drifted out of your life, the ones who crossed some silent horizon. You may not see them anymore, but you feel their imprint, a gravity in your memories, a deep presence where there is no form, even without contact, even without words. Something remains, not as force, but as shape. This, too, is gravity. You think of lovers who slowly drift apart, not through anger, but through motion. Different orbits, different speeds. And yet, years later, they still feel each other. In the silence between songs, in the pause before sleep, their paths once curved around each other. That doesn't disappear. So tonight, as you breathe slowly in and out, you begin to notice the orbits in your own life, the people and places you continue to circle, even when time or distance stretches between you. Gravity teaches you this. Closeness isn't only measured by proximity. It's measured by influence, by how deeply something shapes your motion, your thinking, your quiet. You could be thousands of miles from someone and still move because of them, not because you're holding on, but because something once real between you bent the space you now live in. In that way, love is like gravity. It doesn't require presence. It just shapes out in the far reaches of space. Astronomers observe galaxies orbiting things they cannot see, stars spinning around invisible centers. Something massive must be there, they say. Something that bends space, though it emits no light. They call it dark matter. It's unseen, but it shapes galaxies. It holds the universe together. Perhaps some feelings in you are like that. Invisible, untouchable, but still shaping everything. You begin to respect this quiet weight, the heaviness of a goodbye, the steadiness of a promise, the pull of a place you've never returned to. You realize now that you are not drifting alone. You are in motion. Yes, but always in relationship to something else. Some of those things are known. Others are mysterious, but they all tug you softly. And as you relax into this awareness, you feel no urge to resist. You are not being pulled away. You are being guided. You follow the arc of your own orbit, shaped by memories, by people, by places, by truths that have no voice, but remain. You are moving still, always. And that movement is not lonely yet. It is connected. But if space can bend, and time can stretch, and emotion can linger unseen like gravity, is there something even more surprising? What if, across all these distances, some things remain linked, no matter how far they go? Let's float now toward that next possibility. A universe where connection defies separation, where two things can be light years apart and still feel each other. You drift deeper now, past gravity's slow pull, into a stranger realm, one where the rules no longer seem so steady, where the cosmos behaves not like a machine, but like a mystery. Tonight, we enter the quiet world of the very small, not stars or planets, but particles, the tiniest building blocks of everything, atoms, electrons, photons, the silent dancers in the fabric of your body, the ones who never stop moving, even while you sleep. Here, in the quantum world, motion is not smooth, it shivers. Position is not fixed, it flickers. And reality doesn't follow a single path, but many, until something or someone looks. This is the place where science hums like a dream, and among its strangest wonders is something that feels more like a feeling than a law. Entanglement. Two particles, born together, or touched once, long ago. They spin, They drift apart, carried away by the flow of time and distance. But something between them stays, a silent knowing, a hidden link. Change one, and the other responds instantly, no matter how far apart. No signal, no delay, just connection. Einstein didn't like it. He called it spooky action at a distance. But it's real, proven, measured, repeated, even now. Entangled particles are being tested in labs across the world. And in orbit above it, they behave not like separate things, but like parts of one shared whole. You lie quietly, and a thought comes softly. Could people entangle too? Not physically, but in the rhythm of the heart? In memory? In meaning? Have you ever thought of someone? Randomly, out of nowhere, only to find they had been thinking of you too? Have you ever felt a quiet shift? A tug in your awareness, as if someone far away had whispered your name. In their mind? Maybe it's not so strange. Maybe connection leaves a thread. Not a thread you can see, but one you feel. Just like the entangled particles. Once touched, your lives shift in each other's presence. Even if you travel far, even if you never meet again, you carry a part of their spin. And maybe they carry yours. This isn't just poetry. In your brain, neurons can fire in patterns that match those of another person. It happens in conversation, in shared experience, even in memory. Scientists have seen it. In mothers and infants, in lovers, in people watching the same movie across different continents. Their brainwaves hum in harmony, like tuning forks struck from afar. You're not imagining it. Your biology responds to others, even when they're not near. So you begin to think, what if relationships leave a quantum trace? What if you were walking through life, still slightly tilted, by someone you once stood beside? Entanglement isn't about force. It's about reflection, about one thing becoming aware. When something else changes, and maybe your emotions are tuned the same way. Maybe your sadness sometimes isn't only yours. Maybe your joy, too, rises on waves you didn't make alone. It's a strange comfort, isn't it? To know you might never be entirely alone. Not because someone is watching, but because someone once saw you deeply enough that their seeing still lives in you. That kind of knowing doesn't require contact. Like entangled particles, you don't need to send signals. You just need to have shared a moment, a truth, a silence, and that may be enough to bind you in ways that space can't undo. This idea might feel too big or too soft, but the universe is full of such softness, of threads we cannot see, but that hold great weight. The roots of trees, the silent web of fungi under the soil, the paths of whales across oceans, all connected by signals we don't hear, but that shape their world. Why should people be different? You lie still now, your body light and full of night. You think of someone, just one person, and instead of longing, you feel the thread, not tight, not pulling, just present, their orbit, curving slightly into yours, their spin, still echoing faintly in your own. You begin to understand. Entanglement isn't about possession. It's about recognition. A moment when two systems, two people, stop being entirely separate and begin to move in conversation, in rhythm, in mutual awareness. You may never meet again, but that moment happened. It cannot be undone. The pattern remains, and as you drift deeper into rest, you sense something subtle. The more open you are, the more threads you feel. Not all entanglements are romantic. Some are ancestral. Some are collective. Some are sudden, brief, but permanent. We live in a field of invisible threads, and though they don't bind, they do remind that we are not alone, that we are never untouched. And so now, as you breathe in and out, slow and gentle, you imagine the whole universe, entangled, a fabric woven not just of particles, but of meaning, of feeling, of mutual presence. You think again of the stars, of how they shine not only as individuals, but in constellations, connection written in the sky. You begin to sleep in that sky, held not by gravity, but by memory, and rhythm, and resonance. And you wonder, if two particles can remain entangled across galaxies, what connects the thoughts between your ears? What happens in the space between them? Let's drift there now, into the space between thoughts, a distance not measured in miles, but in silence. Some distances cannot be measured by steps. Some don't stretch between cities or stars, but between your own thoughts, or between two people who no longer know what to say. Tonight, you turn inward, not away from the universe, but into your own internal cosmos, because the same vastness that you've seen among galaxies also lives between your thoughts. Close your eyes again, if they've fluttered open. Return to your breath, its soft ebb and flow, like waves across a quiet shore. Now imagine your mind, not as a single thing, but as a shimmering field of neurons, cells flickering on and off, like a constellation seen from inside. These neurons don't touch. Not quite. Each one reaches toward another, but always with a small space in between, a tiny gap called a synapse. And in that space, thoughts leap, emotions leap, your very sense of being leaps. Everything you think, feel, remember, decide, moves across these silent bridges, these infinitesimal spaces. You are made of distance and connection. A thought begins as an electric pulse, rushing along the branch of one neuron, until it reaches the edge and pauses. There, it waits for chemistry to carry it across. Molecules drift into the gap, like messengers, like swimmers, crossing the synaptic sea. Only when the signal lands safely on the next neuron does the thought continue. This happens again and again, millions of times per second. Inside you, your very awareness is stitched together by spaces, and you begin to wonder, if a thought requires distance to become real, could that also be true for emotion, for meaning, for love? Maybe space isn't what separates. Maybe space is what allows the connection to happen. You reflect on the quiet moments in your day, when no new thoughts arrive, and no old ones demand attention. Those in-between places, the gentle pauses, not absence, but presence without pressure. In music, they call it rest. In poetry, they call it white space. In breath, it is the pause between inhale and exhale, a stillness that holds the rhythm together. You have these pauses, too, between memories, between thoughts of people who once filled your world. Sometimes, these spaces ache. They feel like silence, like a sentence half said. But tonight, you see them for what they are. Rooms with open windows, spaces where something new could arrive. You begin to remember a conversation left unfinished, words you never said, questions you couldn't ask. They live in the space between you and another. Not lost, not erased, just unspoken. You wonder, could that space be a kind of synapse, too? Could distance be a waiting place for connection that hasn't found the right words yet? The brain doesn't rush across its synapses. It waits. It listens. And only when the signal is ready does it move again. Perhaps we should be that gentle with ourselves, with others. Perhaps silence is not a failure of feeling, but the terrain feeling must cross, like particles entangled across miles, like stars whispering across space. And then you begin to feel it, the small, slow fireflies of thought, drifting through your own quiet. Your mind is not empty. It is spacious, alive with things not yet formed. You think of someone again, someone you used to know deeply, not with pain, just with awareness. The way you might notice a star from a childhood sky, still burning, still familiar. They are not here, and yet they move through your thoughts with the weight of memory. You do not need to speak to be connected. Just like your neurons, you can carry the potential for meaning across time. Your body knows how. Your mind, always reaching, always open, makes the leap again and again, even in stillness, even in sleep. So now, you breathe a little deeper. You settle into the space between this moment and the next. You are no longer afraid of it. You understand that space doesn't always mean loss. It can mean readiness, rest, a bridge not yet crossed. Your thoughts quiet, but they do not vanish. They drift slowly now, like dandelion seeds on the wind, soft, free, connected not by chains, but by purpose. And then, just as your body begins to soften further, you feel a new kind of wondering. If your own thoughts are separated by space, yet still part of one whole, what happens when light itself holds a message, a memory, that must travel across those spaces? What happens when color carries meaning and darkness still hums with what once was? Let's follow that next thread now, into the language of light. Somewhere, far away, a star trembles. Its light spills into the void, traveling quietly, faithfully, toward you. You won't see it right away. Its message moves slowly, across years, across galaxies. But it never turns back. It keeps going, until it reaches your eyes. And when it does, you see not the star as it is, but as it was. You are looking into memory. Light is memory. Tonight, you begin to understand. The universe is not silent. It speaks, not with sound, but with light. And light is never just light. It is language. It is time. It is truth in motion. You lie still now, beneath the ceiling of your room, or perhaps beneath stars if you are lucky. But even if you are surrounded by walls, light finds you. The glow of a lamp, the silver hush of moonlight, the quiet blue of a distant screen, and each flicker, each pulse, each warmth on your skin is a message, coded, sent, received. In the world of science, light travels as both a wave and a particle, a photon that behaves like it's made of energy and matter, a traveler that never quite stops to rest. It moves at the fastest speed the universe allows, 299,792 kilometers per second. And yet, what you see in this very moment is always a little bit late, because light takes time, even from nearby, even from across the room, even from your own reflection. The mirror you look into shows you not your now, but your just before, a whisper of who you were a moment ago. And when you gaze at stars, you're gazing at history. Some of those stars may not exist anymore, but their light does. Their story still travels. You begin to think about the people in your life this way, the ones who left, the ones you miss. Maybe they're like stars, gone in form, but still arriving in waves. A voice in a memory, a gesture in a dream, a warmth that finds you when you weren't looking for it. Emotion, too, seems to travel like light, long after its source is gone. Scientists use a tool called a spectroscope to analyze starlight. It spreads light into colors, a rainbow fractured by a prism. And inside that rainbow, they find the fingerprints of elements: hydrogen, helium, iron, carbon. From that light, they learn what a star is made of, how hot it is, how fast it's moving, how old it might be. The light tells the truth, always. You think of this when someone asks you how you are, and you say, fine. But inside, your light says something else. Your tone, your expression, the way your hands rest in your lap. They send a different signal. You too carry a spectrum, a language made of subtle shifts, and those close to you have learned to read it. Some people can see the deeper colors in you, the hidden red of anger, the pale blue of fatigue, the golden flickers of joy that arrive for no reason at all. And sometimes, you are the one reading others, looking not at what they say, but what their light reveals. There's a softness to this skill, a tenderness, to notice someone's glow just before it fades, to see their sadness before they can name it. Light is honest like that. It cannot pretend. It simply reveals, and what it reveals is often beautiful. Even in grief, think of sunsets, the day ending, light passing through more atmosphere, stretching its waves into gold, then crimson, then violet, a soft surrender. That, too, is beauty in translation, the sky speaking. As it dims, even darkness is shaped by light. It is not the opposite, but the canvas it travels through. Black holes, those places where gravity becomes overwhelming, still glow at the edges. They emit Hawking radiation now, a faint whisper of presence, at the brink of disappearance. Even the deepest dark holds a flicker. And you, when you are quiet, when you are afraid, when you feel like you've fallen from someone's memory, you too still emit. Your presence is still felt. Your glow, still there. You don't need to shine brightly. Even starlight, after all, takes millennia to arrive. It's not urgency that gives light meaning. It's its persistence, its willingness to keep going, like a message unsent, like love unspoken, but never withdrawn. You begin to realize you carry light, but you also send it. In your words, in your touch, in the way you show up, when someone least expects it, and others receive it, even if they don't know how to say so. There are people you may have lit up without even knowing. Moments where your presence was the ray that softened a dark day. That is the quiet grace of being human. You emit, even when you don't mean to. So as you lie here now, letting this chapter settle around you, like the glow of stars on quiet fields, you begin to understand something simple and vast. You are both the observer and the light, the one who looks and the one who is seen. And in that dancing, that endless back and forth between being and noticing, you become part of the story. The universe tells through light. But what happens when too much light arrives? When a signal is too loud, too chaotic? Is there such a thing as too much information in a beam of light? Let's drift now into that question now, into the hum of heat, the rhythm of randomness, and the rise of something called entropy. There's a soft unraveling happening all the time. A mug shatters, never the other way around. Ice melts, heat spreads, memories blur. Everything gently leans toward letting go. This, the quiet drift from order to openness, is called entropy. It's not chaos, not destruction. It's the universe's way of breathing out. A long, slow exhale, after holding shape for a while. Tonight, as you lie still, your breath rising and falling like distant waves. You feel it in your own body, a loosening, a soft surrender. Muscles once tense, now giving way to stillness. This, too, is entropy. Not decay, but release. The comfort of rest. After effort. In science, entropy is often explained as a measure of disorder. The more disorder, the more entropy. But that word, disorder, doesn't quite capture the poetry. Entropy is the story of how energy spreads, how heat moves from hot to cold, how tightly packed things loosen, how structure becomes memory, and memory becomes space. It's not just about things falling apart. It's about things becoming free. Think of perfume released into a room. At first, it's concentrated, a single presence, but soon it drifts, touching every corner, becoming part of the air. That is entropy, not a loss, but a change of state. The universe began, scientists say, in a state of incredibly low entropy, highly ordered, dense, tight with potential, and ever since, it has been unwinding, expanding, cooling, spreading its energy across the vastness of time and space. This expansion is not violent. It is inevitable. It is natural. It is beautiful. Galaxies drift. Stars burn out. Planets quiet. Everything becomes a little more open, a little less structured. And in this, the universe writes its story. You think now of your own life, of how things used to be arranged so precisely. A schedule, a friendship, a belief. And then, things loosened. Not suddenly, but over time. A friend stopped calling. A job shifted. A dream changed shape. You thought, maybe, you were failing, losing grip. But maybe, you were just witnessing entropy, the natural letting go that allows something new to arise. Because entropy isn't just the end of form. It's the beginning of possibility. When the snow globe shatters, the snow is finally free to fall. You watch leaves in autumn turn gold, then brown, then scatter across the earth. They're not dead. They are becoming part of something larger. Compost, soil, the beginning of spring. In the same way, your endings hold seeds. Your letting go is not loss, but transformation. Even memory, as it fades, makes room for reinterpretation, for kindness, for healing, and sometimes for peace. You think of an old photograph, its edges worn, its image softened. You remember the moment, but not the exact words. You remember the feeling, but not the sound. This is entropy. Within the heart, the sharp becomes smooth. The loud becomes quiet. The pain becomes poetry. And still, something of it remains. You don't need perfect recall to be shaped by an experience. Just as the universe doesn't need structure to carry meaning, even in high entropy. There is rhythm. There is warmth. The background radiation that fills space. A soft, glowing echo from the Big Bang is the universe's memory of its most ordered moment. It is cooled, spread, softened, but it is still singing. You listen now for your own soft songs, the ones you don't speak aloud, but that still shape your steps, the ones left behind by people you've loved, places you've lived, selves you've outgrown. You don't need to cling. Their light is still traveling. Their meaning is still unfolding. Their energy has simply changed form. This is what entropy teaches you. You are not meant to stay the same. Neither is anything. Stability is a moment, not a mandate. And when things shift, you are not breaking. You are opening. You lie in bed now, wrapped in the slow hum of your own body. And you feel it, the gentle dissolution of the day behind you. Your thoughts drift further apart. Your memories lose edges. Your plans lose urgency. You are becoming a little more diffuse. And that's okay. That's sacred. You begin to love the softness, the freedom from exactness, the way everything is allowed to fall where it may, no longer fighting to hold shape. You become like mist, still whole, but no longer contained. The poet in you knows this feeling. The scientist in you names it. The child in you trusts it. Everything you are is allowed to settle. And still something moves. A flicker. A pulse. A glimmer in the randomness. Because even in high entropy, patterns emerge. Stars are born in chaos. Life begins in warm soup. Consciousness rises. In a forest of fireflies, you are not only losing shape, you are finding new ones. Ones you couldn't predict. Ones that need space to form. So now, as you feel the warmth of your bed, the quiet of your breath, the slow pulse of your heart, you know that entropy is not an enemy. It is the lullaby of the universe, a song of change, a hymn of rearranging, a gentle whisper. Let go and see what forms, but still. A question hums. If everything tends towards spreading, if everything softens and drifts, how do some things stay so remarkably stable? What holds DNA together? What keeps the code from slipping? Let's follow that spiral now, into the poetry of the genetic code. Some stories are not told in books or voices. They're written in spirals. Tonight, you drift inward, past your thoughts, past your breath, into the quiet chambers of your cells. Here, in the stillness, something is speaking. It doesn't use words. It doesn't raise its voice, but it remembers everything. This is DNA, your body's way of remembering how to become you, again and again. A molecule, curled into a double helix, twisting like two lovers who never let go. It doesn't just hold information. It is information in every cell of your body. This code repeats, coiled with care. Silent, but alive. And what does it say? It says, build this person, shape these eyes, whisper this rhythm to the heart. Let the lungs rise like waves. Your body listens. Every second, without asking questions. It listens and it builds. But DNA is more than a blueprint. It's a memory system, a story passed from one generation to the next. You are a continuation, not a copy, but a conversation. Every strand of your DNA has traveled through time, from ancient oceans, from warm mud, from stars that died, to make the carbon in your bones. You are not only made of stardust, you are made of instructions, carried across billions of years. DNA doesn't resist entropy. It dances with it. It bends. It repairs. It adapts. Sometimes it makes mistakes. A letter swapped. A section skipped. And life evolves. This is how change begins. Not with a thunderclap, but with a typo. You think now of your own changes. The things you once believed that no longer hold. The people you once were that you've slowly outgrown. That's not forgetting. It's evolution. Your body knows this. Your cells revise themselves constantly, renewing skin, rewriting blood, relearning balance. And yet, something steady remains, like the spine of a poem. DNA holds the rhythm, a soft hum beneath the change. You begin to realize You are not a fixed being. You are a process, a living thread, moving forward. Even now, as you lie still, your cells are working, not frantically, but faithfully, translating your genetic code into proteins, into breath, into life. A quiet orchestra you didn't have to conduct. This orchestration happens in steps. First, the DNA unwinds. A gentle loosening. A single strand is read. Like a scroll opened by light, molecules gather around, reading its letters A, T, C, G. For characters that make up everything you are. From those letters, your body builds. You wonder, how can so much meaning hide in so few shapes? But it does. Just like how a simple melody can move you to tears, or how a single glance can say more than 1,000 words. Information doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be clear. And DNA is clear until it isn't, because sometimes entropy interrupts. A strand breaks. A gene misfires. A sequence is skipped. This can bring illness, but also evolution. Suffering and survival are both written in the margins, and even broken code can be beautiful because it teaches, it forces change, it awakens repair. Your body has ways to mend itself, to notice when a letter is missing, and gently replace it. It doesn't panic, it learns. Even your pain is part of the learning. You think now of the people you've known who seemed unbreakable until they broke and came back softer, wiser, changed. Their DNA shifted too. Maybe not literally, but spiritually. They rewrote themselves. And so have you, because you too carry code from those before you, their fears, their strengths, their silences, their songs. You are not just you. You are a chorus, a remix, a lineage. And perhaps that's why some pain feels older than your lifetime, why some joys arrive. With the force of ancient memory, your DNA remembers what your words cannot, and it continues, always, even after you are gone. The code goes on, into children, into seeds, into whispers of life, still unfolding. So tonight, as you lie quiet, you place a hand over your chest and feel the code, not as a concept, but as a rhythm, the steady beat of a body built by stars, shaped by time, spoken into being by a spiral of possibility. And you ask, softly, if this code has carried life so far, what else might it carry? What hidden potentials sleep in its twists? Let's follow that curl now into a stranger question. Did life copy-paste its start from somewhere else? So here you are, breathing gently as the night folds in around you. Not at the beginning, not at the end, but at a kind of soft middle, a place between all that was and all that will be. You floated through the stars, gathered light in your palms, listened to silence between thoughts, and curled into the spiral of your own code. You have become the traveler and the trail, the question and the quiet that follows. Now, in this moment, you carry it all, the photons from distant suns, the patterns of your ancestors, the subtle fingerprints of those who've touched your life, the rise of entropy, and the resilience of memory, the code that built you, and the spaces that hold you. And still, a question lingers, not loud, just gently present, like starlight behind a cloud. Did life copy-paste its start? Did the spiral that remembers first spin on Earth? Or did it ride here, on a comet's icy skin, tucked into minerals, sleeping across the void? Scientists call it panspermia, a theory that life's beginnings may have been seeded by something older, traveling farther. It's not proven, but it's possible. And somehow, it feels right. Because you've learned something tonight. Life isn't an island. It's a pattern, a whisper passed from matter to meaning. It builds, it breaks, it remembers, and sometimes it travels, just like you. You've traveled, too, across ideas, across wonder, across the hidden terrain of your own awareness. And you haven't done it alone. Not really. You've had company, the glow of stars, the rhythm of your breath, the soft echo of those you love, the code curled deep in your cells, still whispering. You are becoming. You don't need all the answers. You don't need to hold on tightly. Because tonight has shown you that everything meaningful holds itself. Connections persist. Thoughts ripple. Light travels. Memory reforms. Even now, as you feel yourself drift further into stillness, your cells are humming. The universe is still expanding. The spiral is still spinning. And you, gentle listener, you are still part of the unfolding. So let go now. Let the spiral carry you. Let the soft science of your soul rest in rhythm with the stars. And as you drift off, know this. You are the child of a great unfolding. The breath between two galaxies. The flicker of thought in a cosmos that remembers. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Sleep now, cradled in the quiet code of everything. And when you wake, the story continues. Thank you for dreaming with the Bedtime Sleep. If you'd like to float through more journeys like this, subscribe gently and leave your thoughts in the quiet of the comments. New stories arrive every night, just like starlight. Sleep well.